Hi, welcome to Girls Who Maths. I'm Libby. Today we're going through the AQA Higher Maths paper from June 2019. We're doing paper 2 today, which is the calculator paper, and we're going to go through questions 1 to 8 in this video, so let's get started. Let's start with question 1. So question 1 says, circle the point that lies on the curve y equals x squared minus 4x plus 1. We've got a range of answers here. Now, the first thing we can know is that each answer has a minus 1 at the start. So we know that the point of x is minus 1 must lie on this curve. Therefore, we can make this question quite simple. If we know that the point has to be x is minus 1, let's write that down, x is minus 1. All we need to do is plug the minus 1 into our equation and we automatically given the y value. So, it's going to be minus 1 squared minus 4 minus 1 plus 1. Now you see, when I've written it out, I've added some extra brackets in. That's because when we put this in on our calculator, the easiest way to do it is to write it with the brackets, and that ensures that whatever the function is includes the minus number. So here, obviously, we want the minus 1 to be squared. So if we keep it in the brackets and square the brackets, it will square the minus as well. So let's type that in. Minus 1 squared minus 4 times minus 1 plus 1 equals 6. Y must be 6. Let's look at our options. Y is 6 in this one. That's the answer. Moving on to question 2. So question 2 says the height of a tree is 12 metres. Correct to the nearest metre, circle the error interval. So this is all about the rules of rounding. We don't need a calculator here. We've been given the same numbers on all of the options for answers. There's just slightly different inequality symbols. So all we need to do is figure out which inequality symbols are relevant for this question. Okay, let's start with the lower bound and see which one we need for that. So the lower bound is 11.5 metres. If we were rounding up to the nearest metre, in this case 12, anything with a 0.5 or higher we would round up. So that means that we need something that includes the 0.5. So this symbol here is correct. Now, looking at the other side of the inequality. As I've just mentioned, anything at 0.5 and up, we round up. So if this one included 0.5, we would be rounding it up to 13. It wouldn't give us the nearest metre to 12. So it's got to be less than 0.5, but not including 0.5, which is the symbol here, without the extra line. Therefore, this one is our answer. Question 3 now. So it asks that 2a is 5 times bigger than b. Circle the ratio a to b. So I have a little bit of a trick I like to do for ratio questions, and that is that I like to write it out as an equation first. So we would have that 2a equals 5b based on this. And then a trick for this is if you want the ratio of a to b, all you need to do is swap where the numbers are. So the 5 would be the ratio of a and 2 would be the ratio for b. So it would be that number there. And that is because to make b from this, you need 5 lots of it. So the ratio is 5 proportions of this makes 2 proportions of this. It can be quite complicated to get your head around, but the easiest way, write the equation out, swap the numbers over, put them into your ratio, there's your answer. Question 4 now. So question 4 states, which of these represents a shaded region? And it gives us 4 answers and it shows us a diagram. So you can see that the shaded region is this little bit between A and B and where they overlap. I've written here what the symbols mean in case you've forgotten for Venn diagrams. So the thing that looks a bit like a U, union, so remember U and U go together. Intersection is the thing that looks like a bit like an N. And then the thing that looks like an apostrophe is a complement. So what we want here is the intersection between A and B, because that's the bit that intersect with each other and we only want that bit. So what we're looking for is the intersection, so the N between the A and B, which is one of our options. We circle that, that's the answer. Moving on to question 5, it's one of the first multiple markers. It's no longer a one marker with multiple choice. And it says, using ruler and compasses, show that the region inside the grid that is less than 4 centimetres from A and nearer to B than C, label the region R and show your construction lines. Okay, so obviously I don't have a compass to show you on here, but I'll explain to you what you would do and I'll draw the kind of shapes you should be making. So let's start with the first thing. It wants less than 4 centimetres from A. So we know point A on our grid is here. This is where we need our compasses. So what we'll do is we'll get a ruler and stretch the compass until your distance between the spike and the pencil is 4 centimetres. We're then going to place the spike on A and draw a circle around A. Make sure you use that compass and double check that it is 4 centimetres. Take A and the ruler and see if any point on that circle is 4 centimetres. You want to make sure you're really accurate here because they will check that. So once we've done the first rule, let's move on to the second one. Nearer to B than to C. So what we want to do is we want to intersect these 2 points. We want to bisect them from that first start of our compass. So what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the compass out, start from either B or C, but we'll start from B here, and we want to draw a curve. Nice big, don't draw it too small, make sure it's nice and big and clear. That is a construction line and they're going to be looking for that. We're going to do the same with B. Keep the compass the same length, but just swap it over and put the spike on B, draw with your pencil, another curve. Now you can see that, make sure these curves intersect, so if you've not done one big enough, just go back and extend it, make sure that you do intersect. And then with your ruler, draw a straight line through those points. This is what it should look like. Now, the question says we want what's nearer to B. So anything over that side, because that line is halfway between the 2 points, anything that side is nearer to B. So anything up here is nearer to B. However, it needs to be nearer to B and less than 4 centimetres from A. So this is 4 centimetres from A. This side of the line is nearer to B, which means that all this region here, inside this circle, follows both those rows, and therefore that is region R. Make sure you label it nice and clearly. You don't need to colour it in like I have, that was just for demonstration. Just make sure you put an R in that circle above that line and that'll get you marks. Question 6 now, I'm back to the now calculator. It says Beth drives 200 miles in 4 hours. She drives the first 18 miles at an average speed of 36 miles an hour. Work out the average speed for the rest of her journey. Okay, so to do that, we need to know how long it took her to do the first 18 miles. So to get time from a distance and a speed, you do distance over speed. So in this case, she's gone a distance of 18 miles at a speed of 36, which you should know, but we'll check on our calculator, it's a half. 0.5, remember that's in hours, so it's taken a half an hour to get 18 miles. So let's work out how many miles she has left and how much time she has left. Well, she's done 200, she's got to do 200, she's done 18. Again, using the calculator if you don't know. 182 miles remaining. And she's got 4 hours and she's used a half, meaning she's got 3.5 hours left. Okay, now we've got a distance and we've got a time. So to get a speed, speed comes across, time comes under, it's distance over time. So the distance, 182, over the time, 3.5, is 182 divided by 3.5, 52. So she has to average the speed of 52 miles an hour. Important note for these questions, though we have our calculator, and yes, this was all quite simple to do on the calculator, they're looking for you to write down every single step you're putting in, otherwise you won't get your full marks. So make sure you have put in all of those equations, and that should get you your answer of 52 miles an hour. Question 7 now, it shows us a rectangle of A, B, D and E and a right-handed triangle A, B, C. It gives us a little bit of information on a couple of lengths and says that the ratio of BC to CD is 1 to 2. Work out the area of the rectangle ABDE. Okay, let's start with the easiest thing, which is this ratio here. So think of ratio of a proportion. So one proportion of this length, B to D, is 8, and the other 2 portions we don't know yet. So what we can do is we know that it's 1 to 2, yes, but we know that it's 8 to something. So if 8 takes 1 proportion, then to get 2 portions, we just times it by 2, 16. So therefore, this length here that we don't know must be 16 because of the ratio. Now let's look at the other information that we need. So we need the height of the rectangle to work out the area. Now we have a right angle triangle here, and we know that the rule of the right angle triangle is the square of the hypotenuse must equal the square of the 2 sides added together. So let's write that down. The square of that, we'll just call it lowercase a and b for now. That's the rules to work out the any side length on a right angled triangle. So we have the hypotenuse in this case, which is here. It's the side opposite the right angle. It's 17 centimetres. We can say that this side here is A, so we know that one. And we have an unknown, which is AB. Write out properly so we don't get confused. Right, so now to work out AB squared, we would move the A squared over, and we can use our calculators now to do 17 squared minus 8 squared is 225. Now remember, we don't want the square of it, we want the square root of that number, so we do 225 square rooted, which is 15, and that's 15 centimetres. So again, we can add that to our diagram, 15 centimetres. Now to get the area, we need the total width over the height. So we have two parts of the width, we just need to add those together. 8 plus 16, 24. And then to work out a total area, which is what the question asks us, we just need to do that total by that total. So it's 24 times 15, which remember we have our calculators for, 360. Make sure you get your units correct on this one, so because it's an area, it's a square. The answer is 360 centimetres squared. Question 8 is another drawing one. It shows us the axis and it wants us to sketch the curve y equals x cubed minus 2. And it says below it, remember bold means you have to do it, you must show the coordinates of the y-intercept. Okay, so some people may know this graph, they may have memorised it, you might know straight away what it looks like. If not, don't worry, there's a really easy way to solve it. If we make a little table just off to the side for x and y, we can plot a couple points so we can kind of see the general direction. Let's start with some easy ones. So I like to start with 1, 2, 0, minus 1, minus 2. So when x is 1, we can use our calculator, remember? What is y? Y is minus 1. We'll do the same for the rest of them. So when x is 2, y is 6. When x is 0, 0 cubed, which is 0 minus 2, so it's minus 2. Now be careful with these ones. If you're going to use your calculator, make sure you put brackets around the x before you cube it, because you want to make sure that it includes the minus. You want to make sure you're cubing the minus, because the square of a minus makes a positive, but the cube of a minus makes it a negative again. If we type that in, we get minus 3, and minus 2 is minus 10. Okay, so we can kind of generally see that where the graph is going to go. So when x is 1, y is minus 1. So let's go roughly to where we approximate 1 to be, and we'll go down by the same amount, and that's our first point. When x is 2, however, y has suddenly jumped up to a much higher number. So we go across about the same again to about approximately 2, but we want to go much higher this time. Remember, this is an approximation graph. There's no grid, you don't have to be super accurate. Just rough points will do. When x is 0, y is minus 2. So again, roughly, minus 1 and minus 3. And then here we have another big jump down to minus 10 when x is minus 2, so it's going to be quite a significant way down. And then all you need to do is with a nice curve, join those plots together. Make sure it's a nice smooth curve if you can. Mine's a little bit squiggly in the middle, but try and keep it as smooth as you can. And then remember, there was one more thing, we must show the coordinates of the y-intercept. So where it crosses the y-axis. Now, the rule on the equations of a line, the plus c, as you would know it if it was y equals mx plus c, is the intercept. So in this case, the c in this one is minus 2. But again, we've worked it out. We know that when x is 0, y is 2. So when it crosses this line, it's at minus 2. So we'll just add the coordinates for that point there on in brackets. And make sure you do that, otherwise you won't get your full marks. So that's questions 1 to 8 done. In the next video, which should be released tomorrow, we'll start at question 9.